And Sofie, kan I høre mig?
Ja, det kan vi.
Hello.
Hello?
Hi, Tina. Can you hear me? Hey, Manuel.
Yes. Yeah.
Everyone's appeared. Good. Sorry, Tina, that you didn't have the link.
Minor detail.
I assumed Olga would have sent you it, but I think everyone that is registered, maybe somebody from Dishonored's going to come as well, but they haven't registered on the page, so I'm not sure. But apparently they said they wanted to come to it, but if they do, they'll have to just join us a bit later. So it's a reasonably small group, but we've done this before, and actually I found that these smaller groups are actually usually around subjects that are the most useful because they're relatively speaking quite niche. And actually the reason they're small is two reasons. One, because they're niche, and also because many people don't realize they need to know this stuff. So one of the things we probably usually do and have done before is obviously we record every webinar and send it to all of the partners, but if I see that there's something that's going to be really useful for the partners and they've not attended it, I'll try and incorporate it into future meetings as well. Because I know for certain that this kind of work, especially this kind of fundraising work, is something that could be hugely beneficial to a lot of EARS partners. We've done fundraising training before, focusing on major donors, sort of high value funders from individual high net worth donors, and it was extremely beneficial because many of our partners don't necessarily have the funds and the infrastructure to go on the kind of more direct marketing kind of approach in social media and things like that. So I think this would be extremely beneficial for more than just the people who are attending, but the people who are attending already understand, so that's great. So I'm going to hand over to Tina. If anyone has any technical issues, let me know. Tina, would you like to go through and be stopped as you go along with questions, or would you like to do it at the end? What suits you?
I think we can stop during the time. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Well, if anyone
have questions, yeah. I may be not able to see if there's a hand raising, so please just interrupt me.
Sure, because it's a small group. If you have a question, just unmute yourself and sort of politely interrupt if you have any questions, and then we'll see how that goes. Right, I'll hand over to Tina. Thank you.
Then I try here.
We can see it.
Good. So, yeah, thank you for inviting me. I've been looking forward to this. I love legacy fundraising, so I'm very pleased to be able to talk about it for an hour here. I tried to make it short. I'm really bad at keeping time when I'm giving lectures, so but I try my best. I will give a short introduction and talk a little about who is giving a gift in their will, a little bit about why, and then I have collected like 10 tips to how to get started or what to do. So I hope it's very operational and very easy to be inspired from. Now we only a few, but I would like to ask who is a fundraiser in the group? I can't see you, so is there anybody of you who think, well, I'm not a fundraiser? I can't see you, so I just guess if I ask that question here, a lot of people will say if they work in the program department, say no, I'm not a fundraiser. But we are, everybody who works in an NGO, in an organization, nonprofit, is fundraisers and should consider themselves as a fundraisers, because every time we talk about our organization, every time we present our work, it would be, you don't have to ask people to give you money to be a fundraiser, all you have to do is say, all this work, we couldn't do it without our donors, members, and people who leave a gift in their will. And that's the way everybody can be a fundraiser. And that's very important, as I come back to later, to inspire people and inform them that it's absolutely possible to leave a gift in a will to your purpose. Short introduction to myself. I've been here a tremendously long time, 14 years in 5 days. Before that, I had a career at the different kind of advertising agency, and also passed the Danish National Post. And during my studies, I'm an MBA from Copenhagen Business School. During my studies, I was working in a bank, so I love numbers. For 18 years, I've been an part-time assistant professor at Copenhagen Business School, and working with direct marketing. So marketing campaign is my work. I don't know that much about animals. You learn something during 14 years, but I'm also the chairman of the board for the Gode Testamente, or the Goodwill, if you translate it, which is a cooperation between 55 Danish charities. And I know in most European countries there is also on Australian, so there is this kind of cooperation between charities where they go together and actually talks about legacy, because it can often be difficult for one charity to ask the question or tell about that you can leave a gift in your will. But if you go together with others, it's easier to get the information out in the public. So if any of your members, please contact your local cooperation for charity. In UK, there's a huge remember a charity in your will, for instance, where I think over 100 organizations are members. Animal Protection Denmark is the largest animal protection organization, and we are a multi-purpose organization. We work with all kinds of animals. We both do rescues, we also do public affairs, we do national aid, we also do international aid. So sometimes I envy single-purpose organizations, because the message is much easier to deliver than we have to take care of everything. This year, or last year, 62% of our total income was from legacy. That was over 12 million euros. And this year seems to be more like 13 or 14 million euros that we receive from gifts in wills. Just 10 years ago, it was only 4 million euros. So we have had a tremendous growth in this area, both in the overall size of the organization, but also in legacy. When I present for new colleagues here, or externally, or if I sit at a dinner party and talk about what I...
Tina?
Yeah?
Sorry to interrupt. Can I just check? Are you going through the slides now?
Yeah.
Because it's on the home screen, it's just showing up as the initial slide. It's not going through them. You might need to put the slideshow on. Right, it's going through now. But it wasn't skipping through. I think it's just on the preview at the moment. Maybe if you press where is it? I can't read it all very well because it's but there should be somewhere where you can play the slide, and it'll put the slide on the whole screen.
Try
that one, yeah.
Is it better?
We can see the slide now, but it's still got the preview of the other slides on the side. So I don't think you might need to manually. Oh, it's gone.
I just did it
I think it was fine before. It would just, I think when you were clicking through, it wasn't clicking through for us, so it was staying on the first slide.
And I actually have a second screen in here to be able to see if it worked, and it worked on my screen. Just a moment. And how about now? Nope.
Nothing yet. The screen's gone completely now. It's back to just tiles of people. If you do what you did before, and then just, I think maybe on your actual first screen, just click on each tile as you go, it should work okay, but it looked like you could go through them yourself, but it wasn't doing it when you were clicking on the other screen, maybe.
But now,
yeah, it's back on now. It's back on now like it was before. I don't know if
the introduction.
No, you're on the Who Am I slide now.
Oh, so now you can
Slide
see
3.
it. Okay. So, yeah, the me is not as interesting as the numbers here. That had a growth from 4 to yeah, I think about 13 or 14 million euros this year, or estimate. So 60% of our incomes come from legacy. When I give introductions to new employees here, or to some of our volunteers, or even when I'm sitting in at a dinner party and talk about my work, I always say that it's a tremendous honor, but also a responsibility to work in an organization where people actually believe so much in the work that my colleagues and me and actually we do in our course.
Sorry, Tina, it's not going through it's still not clicking on the slide. It's still showing the Who Am I slide. So I think you've just done it manually. So if whatever you just did then, do that when you want to go on to the next slide, and it shows it for us.
Oh.
It's now on the right slide. So whatever you just did then, I don't know if there's a lag maybe, but yeah, it wasn't changing.
Going to be a little more clicking. No. So now?
Yeah, it's there on the right slide now. So I don't know how you moved it forward last time to that slide, but that seems to work.
Yeah, I actually didn't. Yeah, I try. I'm sorry. But what I'm trying to say is that this is a huge honor and responsibility, that people really believe so much in the course that they give their life savings to you. Even if it's only 1%, it's still, they take something they have been working for their whole life and donate it to your cause. So these donors in wills, they actually should be the absolutely most valued donors of the whole organization. And now I try to.
Yep, great.
New?
Yeah.
Yeah, got. Very short. What is a legacy fundraising? It's actually asking for people to give a gift in their will. There are different legislations in all over the world, every country, and there's also different traditions. sometimes I envy the Brits and Americans, because I think there's a more tradition for writing wills. Definitely, it's not in Denmark. Only 3% of the population actually make a will, and of the people who write a will, only 7% leave a gift for charity. So in Denmark, we are used to everything is in the legislation. So they believe that, well, the government take care of who is going to enhance to have my legacy. The problem is that a lot of people get surprised when we actually learn how their life savings is divided when they're dead. So we have a huge task to inform them about what's actually going to happen. What people can do, they can give, they can leave everything to the charity or to a group of charities. Often we see that they leave an amount to us, and then often an amount to some kind of health care, for instance, cancer, suicidation, or heart. People can also use a percentage, leave a percentage. They can say, well, I want to make sure that 20% of my my last is going to Animal Protection Denmark. Actually, a lot of and they can leave a fixed amount. Fixed amount is not so good because inflation and so maybe if they leave 10,000 euro, but it takes like 20 years before they die. 20,000 euros isn't that much in 20 years time. But it's very important to tell people about how they can leave and how much they can leave, because they simply don't know. And last week I heard Richard Radcliffe, who is one of the Mr. Legacy, a consultant within Legacy fundraising, and he says that if you just ask them to give 1%, because people don't think they can give that little, but if they give 1%, then the family and friends can have 99%. So it's very much about telling them how they can or how little. There's some challenges with legacy fundraising, and I actually heard about Danish charities say, "Oh, we don't want to do anything about. We don't want to invest in legacy fundraising because it's so difficult." You know, when you're making a campaign and you ask for donation, then you send a text message or an email, and within 24 hours people have responded, and you can see how much you have how many donation you have got. That's not how it works in legacy fundraising. Your income can vary from year to year. You can have one huge legacy one year, and next year you have none. And it of course depends on the number of deaths and also of the property value. In Denmark, we just have a slight decrease in property values, and it has an effect on the value of our wills. The problem is also when you do campaigns in legacy fundraising, it can take as much as 6 to 7 years in average from your campaign and from people to get to sign, make their will, until you actually have the money in your hand. And maybe the board is thinking, well, we are probably not going to be here in 6 and 7 years. Why should we invest now for the future? Sometimes it can take like more than 20 years before you have return on investment. We had made some analysis here, and we can see at from the time people write their will, 25% of them are actually death within the first 3 years. So you actually get some return on in investment within a short period of time. But also when you do legacy campaigns, you should be aware of that it's a very long decision process for the donor, because it has a very high importance for them what their legacy is going to be. Who am I going to? The first thing is that they have to be aware we want to make a will, and then for many people it's very important to send a signal in their will about what kind of person was I when I was alive, so the people who see that actually can recognize the person in it. So it's a very long decision process. Sometimes it takes several years for people they actually get the idea of maybe I should make a will, so they're actually writing the will at an
Ina,
yeah.
just to let you know, we're still on slide 6. Is that right?
Sorry. So
Thanks.
There's a lot of myths about who leaves a gift in their will, and we had a advertising agency coming to make a proposal to us, and they have asked people on the street what kind of people leaves a gift in their will to charities, and almost all the people said cat people or cat women. So there's this myth about that it's a little bit, people feel a little bit sorry for people who has to leave a will to a charity or a gift to a charity in their will, because it's lonely people who don't have anybody else, and it's definitely not the truth, but it's a myth in the society that we have to work with. The reality is that it's both men and women. 20 years ago, it was primarily women, but in Denmark, there's a lot of single men plus 50 years, and they are also thinking about what's going to be, what am I going to do with my legacy. Analysis shows that people start to consider their legacy when they turn around 50 plus. Of course, people without children, especially women without children, when they are past 45, 50, when they come to the time where they realize, oh, I'm not going to have children, then they start planning and thinking about, well, what's going to happen when I'm not here anymore. But also people where their children leave home, empty nesters, where you suddenly can see, yeah, my children is doing all right. I actually want to decide myself who is going to benefit from my legacy. And here's the 1% is measured very important, saying you can still leave a lot to your children. Just give 1% of your income to a charity. And then when you're plus 50, your bank or your real estate company and others contact you about planning your pension. And that's also a good time where people think about writing a will and divide their income. So that's it's a lot of couples and with a lot of people with a lot of friends and their own family, they can still benefit from donating to a charity. So why do they leave a gift to your organization? Yeah, primarily it's because they believe in your vision. So it's very important to tell them what about your work. The better you tell your or involved people in your work, the easier it is to actually have them to leave a gift in your will. Especially if you every time you show them what you do, tell them this would only be possible. This is only possible because of Legacies. And then we also have, especially in Denmark, we also have some people who do it for tax reasons, because we have a tax reduction for Legacies in Denmark. But still, in the Gode Testamente, we are 55 organizations. So still, as an organization, you should tell your supporters and your donors and your volunteers that legacy is important. So even though it's a tax reason, they're still going to choose a course, and hopefully it would be yours. When working with legacy, there's a taboo more, or two taboos actually, because in Denmark, I can only speak for Denmark, but it's not usually you speak about money. It's very usual that children don't know about their parents' financial state, or that the parents actually don't know how well off their children are. So we don't talk about money, and we definitely don't talk about death. We made analysis with interviews, and there was one lady who kept on saying, not when I'm going to die, but if I'm going to die. So it's that's why it's good. Some of the messages is going from organization with more organizations, as the Gode Testamente, a corporation with more organizations than just one organization. But I still people gets better, and a lot of people actually just like to have a reason or some help to start that conversation between parents and children, or between friends. Here, and I've heard in other organizations, there is some kind, also a myth about that members of supporters would get offended if we ask them to leave a gift in their will. And it's not true. It's not that we ask them, it's how we ask them. It's about not asking them directly, hey, would you like to give us leave a gift in your will? But just use small kind of drip, drop in all kind of material and communication. Actually keep on telling, this will only be possible, or we can do, if you don't have any legacies today, tell about what would we do if we have more money, what could you help us with if you leave a gift in your will. I'm trying to write down the decision process. As I said, it can take sometimes it can take several years for people to actually register their will. If you are diagnosed with a deadly disease, and so this process is often very short. But if you're just in a situation where you have no children, or is unfriendly with your children, and or you just want to make your own decision about what legacy you're gonna leave behind, then there's a long time where you search for more information. You maybe talk to others.
Tina, we're still on slide 12. It's okay.
Sorry.
It's hard to remember, I know.
I'm so focused that I forget. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Thank you for reminding me.
Okay.
There can be a long process about where they're seeking information about how to make a will. They're thinking about, who should I leave a gift for? Is it relevant for me? I mean, a lot of people say, oh, but I don't have any money, or I'm going to spend everything before I leave this earth, or so. And then they also along the way gets more some specific questions. Can you hear when they call us, they ask like, how do you get to know that I'm dead, or what's going to happen to my things, what are you doing? So you can actually hear from the kind of questions people ask how close they are to actually go to a lawyer and write their will. If there's any among your members who is like us, have shelters for companion animals, it's also a good thing to actually give them a service. So when they die and they have a cat or a dog, that you can take care of the animals. That's very appreciated among testators. Well, now I come to 10 easy things to do. The most important is make sure you have information on your website, because in this search of information, potential donors will visit your website and read about your cause, but also about how you can how they can leave a gift in their will. So it's very important that you actually have a good website, and it's easy to find on the front page. And then you look at our page and you say, oh, Tina, it's not easy to find on your page. No, I know. So I borrowed from our friends in the Cancer Society, because you can actually see that they have it in top of their website on the front page, legacy and testament, and give a memory gift, if you can say so. We're working at it, I say, but there's also always a battle about what to have on the front page. When I started here in 2010, we made a vow, and I would say that every time, every issue of our magazine, Legacy is going to be mentioned. So we have a member magazine 4 times a year, and every time in every magazine there's something about legacy. Often it's an ad on the backside, as here, but we also use testimonials from people who's already signed or left a gift in their will, where they talk about why they did it and what's important for them. That's very good. And also we use, as I said, small fact boxes. Did you know that saving animals is depending on gifts from donors and testators? And so always mention that this is a possibility and this is a way to support the organization. As I said, testimonials, that's really working very well for us. We have different kinds who tell the story about.
Sorry, Tina.
Oh shit.
There you go.
So, testimonials. We have different. We have a single woman here. We have a single man with his dog. We have a couple. We have different kinds of testimonials. We actually ask people when we talk with them in telephone if they are willing to give their testimonial to a magazine, and most people say yes. They want to. They are very happy about that. They finally decided to leave a gift, and they like to inspire other people to do the same. So that's been very very positive. So we use these testimonials in our magazine, on our website. We use them in newsletters and also in ads, because that's a way that potential testators can reflect themselves and see, okay, if she can do it, oh, she has these considerations, well, then I can do it too. And this couple here is actually one of our most successful testimonials with their dog. We also use emails, and for us, we think it's easier to send out an email if you have some kind of hook or reason why we are suddenly talking about a legacy. And just reminding you that within next week there's International Legacy Giving Day, and that is a day where we send out an email to everybody in our CRM system with, we know that is over 55 years, and some others that we have segmented on other ways. And we there tell them that we are depending on gift in wills, and we tell them that if they are interested, they can get more information. So we are not telling them directly give a gift in your will, but we are saying if you want to know more about giving a gift in your will, then you can get the information here. And what they actually is getting is a special kind of legacy magazine. Richard Radcliffe, as I mentioned before. Oh, now I did it before you reminded me. Yeah. Richard Radcliffe, as I mentioned before, which is a very specialist within legacy fundraising, said, don't ever do legacy brochures. Nobody wants to have a legacy brochure. But what we did, and we have been successful, is we actually made a whole magazine with the focus on our work, a lot about the work that our volunteer do. And then at the end of this magazine, special magazine, we have some practical information about how we handle wills, how where who to call, and such kind. Number 6 easy recommendation here is make sure there's an easy access. If finally a person is saying, now I want to call the charity to ask a question about leaving a gift in my will, then it's very important, very, very important that they get the best of all service when they call. It's important for people because it's a very personal matter that they know who to call, and also kind of feels like they recognize her. So we have this legacy advisor, Catherine, and we show her pictures, for instance, on our website. So when people call her, they can actually see who they are talking to. Sometimes we also tell her story about she having a dog and so. And contact information, where to call, what kind of email to get in contact with, very important. And then it's very important that everybody within the organizations know if they meet somebody who thinking about leaving a gift in their will, that they know who they're going to forward the people to. Especially at our reception desk, they know that if people mention anything about legacy, this is going to have the highest priority. Actually, when you call us, you can ask for member service, and you can ask and press 4, I think. And if it's about your legacy, you can press 5, because then they know that's the top priority line into our reception. And they have a list, call list. If Catherine is not there, they have to get the donor in contact with me. And if I'm not there, Catherine is my department, and sometimes we are at the same meetings. It's then our finance director or our CEO. So it's really have within the organization very, very high priority to talk to potential donors in wills. To create awareness and start the conversation about legacies, we use different kind of tools, and one of them who's very successful on social media is doing a quiz about myth about legacy, where you can actually test how much you know truth or false about how much you know about the effect on leaving a gift in your will to Animal Protection Denmark. We also have some, we call them conversation cards. They are made in Det Gode Testamente, but labeled when they're sent out with our logo. And it's kind of cards that you can use when you're having this conversation about your will with your family and friends. It's a tool to help people start that conversation. And they also, we have received thank you notes, and that people actually use them and think they're very usable. And that's lucky when you make some tools. Then events, we didn't do it until last year, I think was the first time we made a legacy event, and it was very successful. This is from an event we invited to. This is the home office for Animal Protection Denmark, and I think there was about 20-22 potential donors who came, and we gave them an introduction to our vision and the organization, and then we have had some of our volunteers to tell about their work, and then we had a lawyer who came and talk about the more legal aspects of leaving a gift in their will. And so far, I think, if I remember right, 7 or 8 of these people in this picture has actually, after this event, left a gift in their will. So it's a very, very, very easy way to convince people about the importance of leaving a gift in their will to your charity. Now the banker comes. It's very important to I don't know if it's very important, but it's very useful to systemize the registration of the wills. It is in Denmark, or within the Det Gode Testamente, we pay for the will. The cost of the lawyer, we pay that. It's about 500 years or so. And to get this refund, people have to send us their will. So we actually, in some degree, knows how many wills we are having, and we register this information with, of course, the GDPR permission, GDPR permission in our CRM system. So we know, we actually register who has got our material as our magazine, Legacy magazine, and then we register who has actually made a will to us. So that way we can see the effects on our different kind of marketing campaigns. But we also register when we actually get the will, when their money is coming in. When the lawyer contacts us and say, well, this person is now dead and they have left you a gift in their will, we know it's take like from 8 to 14 months from that notice to the payout. So we registered that. So we actually know now for how much we are going to receive in legacy within the first half of 2025. So that's something a finance director is very happy for, because he knows there's money to pay salaries for the next year. We also register the age of the testator when they been writing the will, when they're dead, where they were living, what kind of will they have, and the size of the gift. And that's very good information when we are planning our campaigns, so we know about what kind of people are we going to target. And then the last one, the mantra of fundraising. Always remember to say thank you. When people write their will and we get information about it, then we call them or send them a letter. And it's very personal. It is always Catherine who is sending in and saying, thank you very much for giving a gift in your will to Animal Protection Denmark. This year we are planning to sending out Christmas card to all people who are giving a gift in their will. We also send them our annual report so they can see. We have a very huge annual report with a lot of pictures and a lot of stories about our work, so they can actually see what we are going to use their money to. And then when we are doing different kind of events, we also invite our current testators to join and hear more about our work. One thing important about saying thank you, and especially saying thank you in the telephone, is that sometimes these conversations is actually one thing is that people leave a gift in their will, but sometimes some people already have this money in the bank, and we can ask them if they would like to donate in while they're still living. And then they can actually choose what project or visit one of our animal shelters to see that and see their money doing good while they're living. So it's a way actually to also get some more ordinary donations or major donor donations. And that was my last word. So
That's great.
Hope you have oh, where are you now? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That was honestly such a good presentation in terms of the tips.
Thank you.
That is the most valuable thing. Really practical, specific things that you can do. That's why fans goes down really well with the partners, is things that they can really take away and put into practice quite quickly. So has anyone, Sharon or Manuel or Omnica, have you got any questions? Nothing at the moment. I've got a couple. So one of the things that you mentioned about the percentage giving, which I thought was quite an interesting way because of presenting the ask, rather than saying, you know, how much can you give us? It's what percentage of your wealth would you like to leave? Obviously, I don't know if it's the same in Denmark, but in this country, there's a kind of I actually know what the number is now, but there's a kind of an accepted wisdom of if you can and you want to be kind of, what's the word? Well, you give a percentage of your salary every month to charitable causes. So I think when I was back in my big NGO and I was more aware of these things, I think it was like 2-3% of your salary. And some people now say even as much as 10%. Do you ever create that comparison and say, well, what percentage would you like to give compared to your salary? So how much do you give now on a regular basis, or do you just leave it to them to decide? Because that kind of just for £5 a month, you can help this, or for €5 a month, you can do this or that. Do you do a similar thing? Like it's a smaller a percentage makes it easier to make the decision, I guess, is the question.
Yeah, we don't do the comparison one-to-one, as you mentioned, but we do sometimes when people call us and said, I can't be a regular donor anymore. Right now we have a family financial crisis here. Mm-hmm. Then we said, are you aware of that you can leave a gift in your will instead? So we use that, but we don't compare it directly.
Okay.
And we
And
also don't target, if I could say, we don't target high value donors and say and thinking that they would be more potential testators as others, because I have seen a lot of examples that people only have been giving like one small donation 5 years ago, but still we have been in their hearts, and then they leave us all their will. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then the other question I had was, it seemed like the approach you were recommending was, rather than directly going to people and saying, would you like to give something in your will, you're leaving information out in various places on the website, magazines, so people come across it and they come to that conclusion themselves. For many of the partners, they don't necessarily have a huge reach like that. They don't have a website that lots of people come to, and they don't have like regular publications and magazines. They're much smaller in terms of their scope. What would you recommend there, where maybe if they do actually only have a small number of supporters that they have regular contact with, is there a way that you can bring this up without, that do that drip, but maybe in a more direct way? Because they won't have the opportunity to just have various kind of things where you can leave things out where lots and lots of people will see it.
The gamification, the play, we have used that on social media and using it. We have some always on ads on Facebook, especially Facebook, for this target group. So that's a way to actually get the message across. Also, like contact some local lawyers, or they often, or in Denmark, it's bank and real estate companies who's making this kind of meetings where they're telling about pension. And so if you can come in to one of their meeting and telling about your organization and how you can leave a gift in your will, that's a small thing you can do where you don't have to have the marketing, because the bank or the real estate company has the marketing machine to marketing to advertise this event. But if you can just be there, the people there will get to know you.
Yeah, great. And I guess especially, I mean, the thing there is, if one of the smaller partners does ever get money in an in a will or anything like that, is to publicize that, because that's obviously the easiest way to talk about it without directly bringing it up. Manuel, did you have a question?
Yes. First of all, thanks, Tina, for your presentation, and Dave for your work before. And the question is, here we are a Mona Foundation. We are a small organization, and we are principally or mainly in Spain. Yeah, here in Spain we have no culture of will or legacy, and we have a lot of problems to people to leave us the will. An example of other countries, of things we can do to send the message that they can do it, or because the problem is both. The people don't give the legacy, but if they give, goes to human organization, no animal organization. There is less a culture of animal organization.
But it's the same here. We are, even though we have a lot of money, that if you see what's Red Cross or cancer or SOS Children's Home and so gets, then we are very, very small. But sometimes we can see a trend that sometimes people want to divide their legacy into different kind of areas. So maybe you can do a cooperation with one of the others, say, yeah, well, you both have to think about the children's future, but you also have to think about the animals. So you actually do some co-marketing, and they can help you out. There's also some supporters for your cause, and start with them, and those who already donate or write in petitions or whatever your work is, start with them. Maybe if we don't do very much corporate fundraising, but also if you have some corporate sponsors, you can visit and tell about your work, and then mention that you can actually leave a gift in your will. So have it every possible place where you can do. You can, if you're a small organization and you don't have much legacy today, and as Dave said, if you get some, tell about what you can do with this legacy you got. But you can also say, oh, we would really, really like to do this and that. If people would, and one way it could be possible for us, it would be if people leave a gift in their will. It's not going to be a specific project word, but we can see there's a huge problem with the environmental whatever it is. We can do a lot more if we have more gifts and wills. Yeah, so that's a way to tell about it.
Okay, thanks.
But look at who, if it's lawyers, or it's a finance institution, other organization who think who match your purpose or your target group. See corporations, donors. See if you can get a cooperation with them, so to help you marketing this fundraising.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Annika's just had to leave, but she said thank you and would love to receive the PowerPoint and the video to share with colleagues. Does anyone have any other questions? I have got one other question actually that I was interested, but I didn't want to take up the time. Is there any more questions from Sharon or Manuel? No. I just wanted to ask that in terms of the psychology of giving in your will, it seems to me that it made me think about it when you said, well, if they can give in their will, they may give when they're alive, and then they see the benefit of what they're doing. And that would seem like the obvious thing to do, but obviously that suggests to me that the people not doing that feel like they can't quite afford to lose that money now because they might need it. They don't know how long they're going to live and what their costs are going to be. And so they're happy to give it when they're gone, but they can't quite commit to it now. That suggests that your target audience may not be very, very wealthy people, because they probably will be happy to give now, and they may give when they're when they die, but it's that group of people that sort of just a set below that, like you say, you may not hear much from because they can't commit to anything. So that sets something. It's not really a question, really. It's kind of just a comment that you know, in my mind, I would have thought, oh, if you're looking for legacies and wills, you should approach the wealthiest people. And of course, that's true, but maybe that's a different pathway, because the wealthiest people will be major donors, and then that's an easier transition into wills. There's this other set of people that you don't hear from that might be also a very important group as well. So yeah, I've not thought about it in that way.
And maybe it's, as Manuel talked about, with we maybe have another target group when we're working with animals. We can, for instance, see that our monthly giving in average is lower than if you are children aid organization. So it's maybe people not giving so much to, I don't know. Yeah. But definitely, and a lot of families and people have all their assets tied up in real estate. So that's why they can't leave anything while they're living. But when they're not here anymore, and they have in Denmark the real estate prices, even though there have been a small drop in the last year, they have been skyrocketing for the last 10 years. So yeah.
And that falls back to the idea of a kind of legacy portfolio, which again, in my mind, when I've ever thought of legacies, it's like, you know, which charity do I leave my money to, rather than I can just give 10% to them, 20% to this one, and even if it's just 1 or 2% to an animal charity, that might feel right, Manuel, in Spain, is rather than saying leave all your money to animals, is just say carry on, leave it to the human charities, but maybe 2%, 3%. Maybe that can even be the basis of what you suggest. Start small, and then people think, yeah, sure, 3% is fine. As I can give the other 97% to human charities. That might be a way to get the conversation going. Maybe, I don't know.
I think you're absolutely right, Dave. And Richard Redcliffe, he was in Denmark, this Tuesday, and he said that you make the ask of 1%, but in reality, people give like 5 or 10% when they are 1% is so little, I can't give them that. I probably say 5 instead. So it's a good ask to do. Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Well. I've just got a message here from Sharon. Says thank you so much. You've given us lots to think about. As a tiny organization, this is a big challenge for us, but you have given us some steps we're able to take. So thank you.
I'm glad.
Yeah, it's those practical steps. I think that's great. Thanks, Sharon. We'll take this video if it's okay for you, Tina, to send me the presentation as well, I can create a link for that. And I'm keen to. We do have another webinar planned that looks at legacies, maybe more the mechanics of how you actually process and the legal side of it, and how you get from the decision to give to everything in place for it to actually happen. So we're going to be following up on that, and once we have that, I'm interested maybe in creating a resource that we can send to partners to use. Obviously the legislation side of thing is different in each country, but everything we've covered today will be very relevant, and then we can maybe look at creating that more the legal side of it, which may slightly differ. We can look at providing those per country as well, because I think this is it's, as you say, it's long term, but for a relatively small investment compared to other forms of fundraising, you can potentially get a huge return. So I think it's something that a lot of our partners would really benefit from. So yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Great. Okay, well, thanks everyone. It was a small group, but I think perfectly formed, and we will take our learnings and spread it far and wide within ears. Thank you, Tina.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, thanks so much. Bye bye.